Chapter 2, The Way in Spontaneity, Ziran. Tao manifests itself through spontaneity, the natural unfolding of events that happens by itself. Everything develops and changes according to its own nature, without external interference. In this chapter, we will explore the concept of Ziran, which refers to spontaneity or the state of being in alignment with one's own nature. This principle reveals the truth of existence. We will discuss how nature, in and of itself, creates harmony and why we must follow this natural process rather than attempt to force or control its course. The essence of Ziran, spontaneity as the natural flow of the world. At the heart of Taoist thought is the concept of Ziran, often translated as spontaneity, but more precisely as self-so or self-being. It refers to the natural, effortless way in which things arise and evolve according to their inherent nature, without the need for external interference or manipulation. The term Ziran suggests an organic, unforced process where things unfold in their own time and manner in harmony with the world around them. The notion of Ziran challenges the Western concept of productivity and achievement, where success is often measured by how much effort one exerts to shape or control the outcome. In Taoism, the true way is not one of striving and forcing, but one of following the natural course of events, allowing things to manifest in their own time. It is akin to the idea of letting go, a recognition that there is an underlying intelligence in the way the universe operates, and when we align ourselves with it, we experience harmony and peace. A perfect example of Ziran can be seen in the growth of a tree. A tree does not force itself to grow, it simply grows. It does not attempt to change the shape of its branches to fit a particular mold. It grows according to its own nature, with the resources provided by the earth, air, and sunlight. The tree does not hurry its growth or fret about whether it will grow tall enough or bear enough fruit. It simply exists in its natural state, and in doing so, it fulfills its purpose effortlessly. This is the essence of Ziran, an organic unfolding without resistance or force. The role of nature in Ziran, harmony without intervention. Nature itself is the ultimate example of Ziran. The seasons change, plants grow, and animals live according to the cycles of the earth, all without the need for human intervention. In Taoism, it is believed that nature follows the Tao, and by observing its rhythms, we can learn how to live harmoniously with the world around us. The Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, another key figure in Taoist thought, uses the metaphor of a tree to explain Ziran. He writes of a tree that is not useful to humans because it is too twisted and gnarled to be used for timber. However, the tree thrives simply by being itself. It does not strive to conform to human expectations, but exists naturally, fulfilling its purpose simply by growing as it is meant to grow. This example reveals the deep wisdom embedded in nature. It does not need to force or strive, and yet it creates harmony simply by following its natural course. In a broader sense, nature does not struggle to be something it is not. The mountains remain steadfast, the rivers flow steadily, and the seasons pass in their inevitable turn. There is no external force pushing them to change, yet everything evolves in perfect accordance with its own nature. This is the natural law, or the Tao, at work. The universe itself is an expression of Ziran, unfolding in perfect harmony, not by human design, but by following the inherent patterns of the Tao, the human condition, aligning with the natural way. In our daily lives, we often find ourselves in conflict with the natural flow of events. We try to control our circumstances, manipulate outcomes, and force things to happen according to our will. This, according to Taoism, is a source of suffering and disharmony. When we act out of sync with the natural flow, we create friction and our lives become filled with unnecessary struggle. The principle of Ziran encourages us to align ourselves with the natural rhythms of life. It teaches us to let go of the need to control every aspect of our existence and instead trust in the natural unfolding of events. This does not mean passivity or inaction. Rather, it is an active participation in the world, but one that arises spontaneously without force or manipulation. Consider the example of a person trying to make a decision. Often, we become fixated on the need to control the outcome, trying to make the perfect choice or seeking certainty. However, Ziran suggests that we should allow the decision to come naturally. Instead of struggling with indecision, we should trust that by following our nature and responding to the circumstances as they arise, the right choice will present itself. The act of trusting in spontaneity allows us to experience less anxiety and greater peace as we are no longer attempting to force things into being. Wu Wei and Ziran, the dance of effortless action. Another important concept closely related to Ziran is Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action. While it might seem paradoxical, Wu Wei is not about doing nothing. Rather, it is about acting in such a way that our actions are in perfect harmony with the natural flow of life. It is an expression of Ziran, where action arises spontaneously and naturally from the situation without the interference of the ego or the desire to control. In everyday life, this can be observed in moments when we are in the zone or when we are engaged in activities that feel effortless and fluid. For example, when an artist is painting, a musician is playing, or an athlete is performing, there's often a state of Wu Wei where the action flows naturally without excessive effort. The artist is not consciously trying to force the brushstroke. The musician is not laboring over each note. Instead, their actions arise from a place of deep connection with the present moment. This is the essence of Ziran, acting in accordance with the natural flow of the world. The dangers of intervention, striving against the flow. One of the central teachings of Taoism is that we often create suffering by intervening in the natural course of events. When we try to impose our will on the world, we disrupt the harmony of the Tao. This can be seen in the way we often manipulate nature, striving to control the environment or force certain outcomes. The more we push against the natural order, the more resistance we encounter. A famous story from the Taoist text Zhuangzi illustrates this concept. A man once tried to catch a fish in a river, but despite his efforts, the fish eluded him. He became frustrated and angry, but his frustration only made him less effective. In the end, the fish was not caught because the man's interference disrupted the natural flow. The lesson here is clear. By trying to control the world around us, we often hinder the very things we desire. The more we strive, the more we create obstacles for ourselves. Instead of forcing things to happen, Taoism suggests that we should step back and allow events to unfold naturally. This does not mean we stop acting. Rather, it means that we stop resisting the way things are and instead move with the flow of life. Living in accordance with Ziran, practical wisdom. In practical terms, living in accordance with Ziran means embracing spontaneity in our actions and decisions. This requires a shift in mindset, one that values patience and acceptance over control and manipulation. In relationships, for example, we must allow others to be themselves rather than trying to shape them according to our own expectations. In our careers, we should allow our skills and passions to unfold naturally without forcing ourselves into a mold or striving for external validation. Ziran is also about being in tune with our own nature. It is a reminder that we are not meant to follow someone else's path, but to find our own unique way of being in the world. By embracing who we truly are without trying to conform to societal expectations or personal desires, we begin to align ourselves with the natural order of things. Conclusion: the wisdom of spontaneity. The concept of Ziran teaches us that the natural flow of life is not something to be controlled or manipulated. Instead, it is something to be embraced. By letting go of the need to force outcomes, we allow ourselves to live in harmony with the Tao. The world does not need us to shape it. It needs us to align with it, to allow the natural order to unfold. In doing so, we discover that life itself is a spontaneous expression of the Tao, one that flows effortlessly when we stop resisting it. Through Ziran, we find peace in the simple act of being, and in that simplicity, we discover the profound wisdom of the way.